All right. So yes, this is an anything call, so we're open to any subject matter.
So
You
I
got.
heard I hurried home for this. I worked on my website.
Oh, I saw that.
Did you see it?
Yeah.
So here's now my dilemma. If there's a way, I know website building, might not be the forte of ACT, but it's kind of what I need to get done to get my act together going.
Sure.
So I did my segmentations like you recommend.
Okay.
And then when you do that, so I just bought a theme as you suggested, have the theme up. So now I have my segmented sections like caregiver, concussed, and community. How do you get, so when I build the page for that, am I doing like a new page on WordPress for that information for that group of people? You're muted.
Oh, there we go. So with WordPress, I'm not totally familiar with how WordPress works, but yeah,
Okay.
you would want a different page. Let me turn this.
That's the kind of stuff that gets me a little stumped because I segment, and then when they click here, if they're a concussed person, where do I have that take them to? Like one full page that's ongoing information, or multiple pages that's for concussed people, and then a separate section for caregivers. Because once we segment, that's I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. So in your navigation, basically you'll want different sections to the site, and then you'll want different pages within those sections, so they're kind of connected together. It's just with WordPress, I haven't developed any sites in WordPress. I'm not familiar with how to do that. I know you can do it. You can definitely do that. So it's when you build a page, basically you link it, and then in that section those pages would be linked. So in your navigation, basically you can make like scroll down menus of the pages that are in any section, and you can set up the navigation within those sections.
Oh, so almost like its own little website within, like if they click concussed, then that would be like its
Mhm.
own little website, so to speak, with the menu bar and everything.
Yeah, you could have a menu back to the other sections of the site, but they call it, in SEO they call it silo, and really a silo is just a category. It's like in a shopping cart. When you go in, you might go into electronics, and then you might go into the computer section, and then you might go into the hard drive section, and it's in the same category. So you've got all the navigation, but you're in a silo of that website,
Okay,
because you could also go to major appliances, and now you'd be in a totally different section of that website.
right. And then in the major appliances, there's different links for each of the, okay,
Yeah.
that's kind of what I'm thinking. Like, I think I need to make like a page that's almost like a whole new website within it.
Yeah. So like
Okay.
within appliances, you'd have refrigerators, you'd have washers and dryers, and so when you navigate down, you get them to right to where they want to go.
Okay.
So that's
Excellent.
that's kind of a really well functioning website is built that way.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna have a well-functioning website.
So it's like the structure. We did that with Chris Koff's site. I think
Oh,
Chris.
yeah.
He had a real estate site that was just all jumbled together. And what we did was we changed the homepage to have two big buttons on it, for buyers and sellers. And when they hit the buyer button, they go into the buyer section, and they just see all the stuff about buyers that's important to them. If they hit the seller button, that they basically go into the seller section. So it's like, you segment them within the site.
Right. Now, what was your first impression when you looked at what I did? my homepage.
I thought it was awesome. I'm like, wow, she's figuring this stuff out.
Spent all night doing it, but I just kept plucking away, and
Yeah.
but you just have to play with it to figure out, how to move the picture. And I would like my picture to be smaller so it doesn't take up as much of the screen at first. Like I'd like
Okay.
to bump it up, but I haven't figured that out. So I thought, that's something I'll pay Tommy to do.
Yeah. Once you get the main parts in there, then you can always have somebody like just make a laundry list to say, hey,
Yeah,
I want this, this, and this, and
that's what I'm thinking. I'll get the bulk of it done, and then they can clean it up. Now, one last question, and then I'll let Gwen and what's the other
Mary Sue.
person? Mary Sue ask. Would you say put under construction if your website isn't really done, or would you have it live and let people see, like,
I never really liked the whole under construction thing.
okay,
Um, the reality is every website's under construction.
that's what I think.
So now what you might do, like let's say you're planning on adding a page, you might put the text for the link and not link it yet, and just have the caption for the link and then say coming soon.
That's what I kind of did with the test. In the bar to click, I put coming soon.
Yeah, the other thing you could do too is actually allow them to click it, go to the page, and then have a sign up and say, sign up for the first release of this, which is going to happen, and give them a date. And that way you can start building a mailing list.
Oh,
And
oh.
instead of them just, yeah, I'll try and remember to come back for that. Because a lot of times they won't remember and they'll never be back. So
That's a
it's,
great idea.
yeah, it's almost like you're baiting them in. They want this thing because they clicked on it, so they're here. And it's almost like, it's the same idea as the sold out. Get on the list for the next release. That's what you want to try and do. You want
Okay.
to try and capture their name. That way you can send them a thank you email, and you can remind them, hey, we're releasing this second week of next month, and we'd really like you to try it. We really want your feedback. And then, as time goes on, you can send them another reminder.
Okay.
And then you can ultimately send them, we're open.
Right. Well, the technical part, I have the survey completed, or actually they're going to get if you've been concussed, what to do within 24 hours.
Yeah.
So I just have to figure out how do I point that to that document, and then the thank you, and then I have my journal as a what's next step. So the mechanical part of that, I did the ClickFunnels. I spent a day on ClickFunnels doing that. So now I just have to figure out how to marry the two. But I'm close. I feel good about it. So I'm getting traction now that you got me hooked up.
Well, that's awesome. And congratulations again for getting in there and taking the incentive there to jump in and start working with WordPress. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Well, thank you. I just needed you to get me hooked up straight, and then I could go to town. So I appreciate that help with that.
Yeah, and I know WordPress is, easy to work with. It's just I haven't worked with it. I've got another program called Fusion that I've been building websites since like 1999
Oh.
using Fusion, and I'm one of those old dogs. It's hard to teach a new trick.
Yeah. Well, you might, when ACT starts growing and blowing up, you might need some people that can help with WordPress, because that's the hottest thing everybody's talking about,
Oh
WordPress,
yeah.
WordPress that.
Yeah. WordPress has really become a pretty solid platform, and it doesn't have the issues that I had thought it was going to have. I thought it was going to have a really big impact on Google, enough to where Google was just going to block it.
Oh.
Because a lot of the marketers were using it as a spam tool. And at one point it was on their radar, and then they changed directions and they went with RankBrain. So that was a big concern. I wouldn't let any of my clients be on WordPress.
Mm.
I kept all of them off it for a very, very long time because of that,
Yeah.
because it was a real threat. If Google decided, hey, WordPress is a spam tool and they block it, and all my customers are on WordPress, then, for an optimization guy, I'm kind of screwed.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's true.
But that didn't come to fruition, and we're far enough beyond it now. I don't think it's a threat anymore. So
Yeah.
I don't have any hesitation on WordPress anymore. I don't steer people away from it. I think it is a great tool. It's just I don't have the the skill set of building in WordPress.
Yeah.
But
Well, thank you. But you helped me, at least I, can visualize now that whole appliance thing helped me. So that makes sense in my head. So
yeah, awesome,
thank you.
good stuff. So what's your next step now?
Well, now that I have this information, I'm going to get my categories going. I built the ClickFunnels lead generator. So I think I'll do the lead generator. I guess I need to do an ad. Well, I want to get a little bit more snipped up with the website. I don't want a lot of people going there and not seeing things not completed. So I'll probably get some sections at least started, maybe not all the information, but get a good grasp on it. And then I'll probably start doing some Facebook ads on,
Okay.
on the, get the free, have you been concussed? Get a free, what you do in 24 hours. I don't know what you call it. I got to call it something.
Yeah, what you should probably do too is get a retargeting pixel in place
Oh,
as
right.
soon as possible.
Now, does anybody else have a question? Because I don't want to consume the meeting here. I wanted to, Anthony said something about retargeting the people in the group. And I know I asked you last week, but I didn't have my notes in front of me. If I'm in a group of people of 6,000, how do I not spam them, but retarget them?
Okay. Well, on retargeting, basically for retargeting, it's only people that have been to your website.
Okay.
So like if you've got the retargeting pixel on any given page in your website, they have to have landed on that page to trigger that retargeting pixel.
Got it.
But once that pixel fires, then it's got them in their, in its sights. And it can retarget them however you want to do that, however aggressively. But like, let's say you've got a group, a Facebook group, and they've got, 10,000 people in it, and you want to hit them with ads. Basically what you would do is you would create you'd create an audience, custom audience, and the custom audience would be the people in that Facebook group. And now you can run ads to that custom audience. That's not retargeting. That's a way to run ads to a given audience inside Facebook. Now, once they click on it, then you can retarget them. And retargeting, if you use the Steelhouse platform, the one that I think I introduced you guys to it here a couple of weeks ago, and I don't know if I actually sent the link out for it yet.
No.
So I was kind of waiting for him to get the prospecting tool ready, and I just got an email from Tori this morning, and she said that they should have it pretty quick. They said it was going to be in January, and we're in January, so it could be any time now. I get more of the idea it's going to be toward the end of January, but once we get that, I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, sounds good.
Because with Steelhouse, it's not just Facebook. It's retargeting and displaying your retargeting ads all over the internet. It's like whether they're on Facebook or not, your ads will still follow them because they have inventory of Facebook. They also have inventory of the Google network. They also have inventory of all the other advertising networks out in the world. So rather than your ad just showing up when they're on Facebook, it'll show up when they're on CNN, or they can be on Entertainment Tonight, and it'll your ad will pop up. It's literally going to follow them anywhere they go on the internet. And the other cool thing about that is it will give you the data from Steelhouse. It'll give you the data of what sites your visitors are on.
Wow.
So like, let's say, after a few months, you go in and you look at the data and you say, wow, 20% of my audience is on this particular website, whatever it may be. You can contact that webmaster and work a deal out with them to display your ad on their site all the time, not just to retargeting. If you know your audience is on that site, then that tells you your audience is probably 100 times bigger on that site that they don't know about you and you don't know about them. But that site attracts your ideal client. So that's a great place to put a solid ad, not just a rotating through kind of thing whenever you're retargeting, but to advertise to their entire audience. That's a really good way to leverage that Steelhouse tool, is in research of where your audience goes.
Wow, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's really, really powerful. So I can't wait for that one. Pretty exciting stuff. But anyway, regardless of that, on the other end, you definitely want to get that pixel in place, so you're at least setting those up. Even if you're not running retargeting ads, you're building a list. And that's something, some of you guys might not realize this, but that's the new mailing list. Retargeting pixels are the new mailing list. Rather than getting people to opt in, you can follow them around. It's kind of it's not exactly the same. With an email list, you can literally send out anytime you want. But with a retargeting list, you can get a lot more people in it, because let's say you've got a lead magnet out there and, for whatever reason, it's not converting real well. Say for every 100 people that hit the lead magnet, you only get 20 people that opt in. So you've got a 20% conversion ratio. There's 80 people that you didn't get their email address, and you literally have no way to communicate with. They're gone. They came, they left, and you paid to have them come. So you wasted 80% of your marketing dollars. If you retarget them, all 80 of them, you can follow around with your ad to see if you can bring them back and re-entice them. Maybe the first offer just didn't hit the mark, but it gives you an opportunity to try again. So that's a big advantage. What some of the marketers, like in Ryan Dice's group and Perry Belcher, they have eliminated a lot of their opt-ins. They just send people to the page so they can retarget them now. They know they get 100 times more people on a retargeting list than they would ever get from opting in. So it's like they offer the free thing, and they tell them no strings attached, no opt-in, download it now. So when they go to the download page, boom, they're retargeted. So they've literally created a massive list that they could never do before. So that's pretty cool stuff.
Would you do that, John? Would you not have an opt-in and just go ahead and retarget?
If I was doing things at the level they're doing, yeah, I probably would.
But at our level, we should have opt-ins.
At our level, yeah, I would recommend probably opting in and retargeting. So that way you don't miss them. But for me, with marketing funnels, they're so much more effective if you open up the email communication. And really, if you're creating an education-based marketing system, I think the email is crucial, because you get them in that mode of ask and receive, because they're basically requesting information. You're delivering, you're over delivering, and you're really being helpful. And that's how you build that that trust and rapport. With retargeting, if you're in the unaware, and this is where it might vary. I know with Ryan and Perry, they often operate in the unaware markets, and this is where this really shines. If you are not aware of something and it's your first encounter with it, you might not be interested enough yet to opt into anything. So that's where, they're getting much higher conversions doing it the way they're doing it because of that. They're operating in those unaware markets. So just, it kind of depends on your particular situation, and also you can always test it.
Right.
If you try and opt in and you don't get anybody to opt in, but you've got a lot of traffic, like I think Susan Shepard had that. She was getting a ton of traffic. I mean, people were interested in the offer and they were clicking through, but they weren't opting in. She was getting like 1 out of 1,000. So if that's the case, you knew what they were interested to begin with, so that would give you a massive opportunity to retarget them and try again. So, wherever you're at, if you find that's the case, then, that might be a better way. Maybe don't make them opt in. Maybe give them the first thing and make it so good that they consume it and want more, and then you can get them to opt in on the second round. And you can follow them around with the ads, just trying to bring them back for that second chance to get them to opt in. So, this is all a numbers game, so you got to look at the numbers and see what works for you.
Right.
All right. So, anything else there? I see Mary Sue's unmuted there. Go ahead.
Hey, John, I was just thinking, following up on that, how about abandoned shopping carts?
Yes. Yeah. Abandoned shopping cart is the same thing. There's been a lot of, I know a lot of the shopping carts themselves have created modules for that over the last 10 years, because that's a big thing. People put items in their shopping cart, they get to the final stage or they get to particular stages, and then they drop out. And analysis of that is really important, because if you notice 80% of the people are dropping at the shipping, when they go to enter their shipping information,
yeah,
or choose a preferred shipper or shipping method, what you'll probably find is your shipping is too high. They look at the item, they want the item, but then they don't want to pay the shipping. So in that case, either you lower the shipping or you do a free shipping model. And a lot of times what people do when they do free shipping is either they say it's free shipping on an order over X amount of dollars, so they can increase the size of the sale, and that makes it worth it to give away the free shipping, or they pad the price of the product a little bit to allow for free shipping. But in this market today, free shipping is quite common, and I think it's something that the consumers may demand. That might be one of the things where if they're on your site, even if you're cheaper on your price, if they feel like they have to pay for the shipping, they might not think that's a good deal. So that's something that, you've got to really look at your market. You've got to look at the numbers of what's going on. But if you find that they're abandoning the cart on the shipping page, you want to have some sort of a mechanism. And that's what I was talking about. A lot of the shopping carts themselves have created modules for that. So you can send back and you can say, hey, we've still got your cart open and we noticed you dropped at shipping, so maybe that's an issue. Here's a coupon for free shipping. So allow them to go right back into the cart, pick up where they left off, and continue and avoid the shipping costs. Rather than lose a sale. Some people say, well, I won't make as big a margin, but if you make a little bit, that's better than not making anything at all, especially if you've got large inventories and you need to move product.
Well, if it's a new customer, then it And then I think that makes a difference, because now you've got somebody that's trying the product, right?
Yeah, yeah. There's lots of reasons why free shipping would make sense to, to any business owner.
So you put it on the final page, is that, or you find out where they're dropping out? I guess they wouldn't end up in an abandoned cart if they, I honestly don't know. I just stumbled over it, so I don't usually check it, and I'll have to do that.
Sure. Well, with shopping carts specifically, there's a lot of different points that they could drop out. Shipping is just one point they might drop out. Tax is another one. If you're collecting sales tax for your state, like, everybody should collect sales tax on the state if they're shipping physical product. Sometimes they'll drop out and they'll go and they see if they can find that same product in a state that's outside their state, so they don't have to pay the tax.
Right.
So, that one, there's not really much other than, discount and say, hey, we'll pay the tax for you. I know some companies, I've seen that, several times, where they'll do a holiday discount of, hey, we, anything you buy, we pay the tax this weekend.
Right.
And that in essence is just a percentage discount. Whatever the tax is, if it's 8%, you give them, an 8% discount. You pay the tax for them.
So if you've already got, they've gone far enough to fill out the form,
Mm-hmm.
we have their information, and then you could just retarget them. I mean, I don't know. I guess so. When you're talking about just finding out it was cool to find out the sites where all of these people reside, or where they come to you from, or whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
That would just be really cool.
Oh yeah, for sure. Kind of just for me to take a step back so you understand better on retargeting. Let's say you wanted to retarget people that got into the shopping cart and didn't check out. So you're probably wondering, how would I do that? And what you need to do in that case is you need to create multiple pixels. So you need to create a pixel to retarget them just on your website in general, but then you create a new pixel when they get into the shopping cart. You create another pixel, so you need 3 pixels to do this effectively. The final pixel goes on the checkout page, the completion page of the checkout process. So basically now there was 100 pixels that fired the shopping cart, but there was only 50 pixels that fired the completion of the transaction. So you've got 50 people that have open shopping carts. And then you can set a rule that says mail or retarget everyone that has a shopping cart pixel but doesn't have the completion pixel fired. So that's how you would do it.
Targeting things, so I don't want to retarget people that have bought.
You would not, like, if your message is for a shopping cart abandonment, you would not want to retarget them if they made the purchase.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Because like, what would happen if, let's say, they bombed out because of the shipping, and now you're retargeting with a free shipping offer, and the people that see that already bought, they're going to be mad.
Yeah.
They're going to say, what the hell? I just paid shipping for this, and now you're giving the shipping away. They're going to be upset. You do not want that.
Okay.
That's really a bad thing to do to your customers.
Okay.
So I know I made that, that's a bad mistake to make, and I made it because I was running a promotion for my SEO Dominator Club, and I was selling it at $4.97, and I sent out an email to my entire mailing list that it was a $99 special year end. I was trying to increase membership. This was like 5 or 6 years ago. And I sent out a message and it said, here's your chance to get into the Dominator Club for just $97 between now and the end of the year. I gave them like 3 days to do it. And I got probably at least 10 people that had bought in the last 90 days and spent the $497, and I wound up having to refund each one of them $400.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, I got a lot of new signups, but I lost a lot of money in the process because I didn't eliminate the customers.
Yeah.
So that's a really good reason of why you want to be very careful with your, who you send offers to.
And the shopping cart does that. Is that correct?
A shopping cart, yes, a shopping cart will do that. So if they have a lot of them have these modules now for the abandoned cart. So if you've got an abandoned cart module, it'll do a lot of that fancy stuff for you.
Okay.
If you're sending a mailing list out, like most shopping carts have the ability to send mailing lists out to customers. They also have the ability to filter those customers. Like I want to send an email out to everybody with the exception of people that have bought product XYZ. I don't want them to get this mail. So there's a lot of different ways that you can filter your mailing list based on who you want to receive the offer.
Okay.
That's another thing too. In your mailing list, you shouldn't have just and this is more for people that are outside of a shopping cart scenario. If you're doing just marketing in general and you're building a mailing list, you don't want to build just one big jumbo mailing list. You want to have as many segments to that mailing list as possible. Like let's say you put out 3 different offers for the same product. If you dump them all into one mailing list, you don't know which people responded for what offer. If you segment it down, hey, these people responded to this, so I know what language they speak. I know what excites them. I know how to talk to them. So when you communicate with them to try and move them to the next step, you'll have a much higher success ratio.
So for me, I could filter according to the product that they buy. I don't know what other people would probably filter by interest or something, right? If they could define specific interests.
Yeah, so that's the difference between segmenting on marketing and segmenting on consumption. When you're segmenting on consumption like you are, you have a lot of insight because you know what they purchased. So you already know, what their buying triggers are, why they purchased that product and what their needs are. So you probably know what their fears are, what their desired outcome is. So that gives you a tremendous amount of insight into filtering that mailing list down and communicating with them based on products purchased.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, it's very, very powerful. When you have a shopping cart and you've got, people that are purchasing particular products, filtering your list to communicate with those people is really, really important.
So that Steelhouse pixel is going to be dynamite when we get it.
Oh yeah, especially for you because it's going to tell you where all of your people are coming from, and not only where they're coming from, where they're going to. So
Okay.
where they hang out online. That's really powerful information.
Okay, can't wait.
Yeah, it's cool stuff. And for you, Mary Sue, I apologize. I have not really gotten back to you. I know you sent me your mailing to read through, and with all the stuff with the holidays and with Barb's mom and all that stuff, I've pretty much had my hands full the last couple of weeks.
I can imagine. Well, I'm kind of down to the wire on this stuff. I just heard back this morning from Carissa. So she's going to help me with the email. I just need to get that going. And we're still working on labels, right?
Okay.
So, I just need to make sure that I get something done because I'm truly down to the wire, and I don't know how big a difference, how big a deal I want to make out of the Best Buy date on this. I know I have to mention it, but bottom line is, you know, we just need to do something, right?
Yeah, sure. So I'll is the last set of email that you sent me, is that the most up-to-date one?
I think it is. I think it is. So
Okay.
the question, I guess, for me, so no, honestly, I didn't know that our page, the one page for one product never went up. People didn't have the ability to buy the thing. And
Oh,
I had set it up and sent it to someone to get it up there, and I didn't know that it wasn't working. And so the question, I guess, is do we put both products and say these are the products, or do I send them, you know, individually? So,
if
and
if
the
it
other thing I
make
think I'm going to do
if it
is
makes
I'm,
sense for them to buy both, then you could put them both up. That's no problem. If it doesn't make sense, then you might want to do them individually and send the offer out to who it makes sense to.
so we have a couple of thousand, 3,000 maybe, I don't know, people on Facebook that signed up for our Facebook page. If I post an ad, somebody says, well, you post the ad right in your Facebook thing, right, rather than buying an ad. And honestly, I know so little about Facebook, but does that mean that other people would see it as well, simply because people know people on Facebook? Is that the way it works?
Okay, well, like with your personal Facebook page or your Facebook,
Not my personal, the company, right?
okay. So that has a feed to it. So when you post in the feed, all the people that have subscribed to it or are your friends of that feed, they get to see that. Sometimes it'll show up in their feeds. Uh, Sometimes they'll see it if they browse to it or what have you, but it does not show to people outside of that unless somebody shares it.
Okay.
Like let's say Bob in the group shares it, and now his group, anyone that's friends with him, gets to see it. And then he shares it, maybe Sally shares it from his group. So that's how it can really blossom out. One of the things that you want to do is you want to promote sharing. Like, and sometimes that's as simple as just saying it. Say, hey, would you guys mind sharing this with your friends, and ask them to share it with anyone that it could help, in their groups. Because if you get 10 people to share it, and then they get 10 people to share it, and they get 10 people, I mean, it could go tens of thousands of people very, very quickly with sharing in place.
Do you do that on the ad, or do you do it on your?
It's really just, it's in the text of anything. Like when you post an ad, you can say, share with your friends. You could actually have that in the ad.
Okay, sounds good to me.
So, and most people, they'd be happy to share it, but they don't, because it's just not top of mind. But when you say it, and, a lot of times they'll just click, oh yeah, click the share button, boom, done. Ask, they say, ask and ye shall receive. If you don't ask, it probably won't happen.
Okay.
Some people might see it and go, oh, that's so cool, I got to show that to somebody, or I want to share that with my people.
Okay.
But generally not. They generally won't do that just out of, habit.
Sure. Okay, I appreciate that. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. So I will look at your email sequence here probably later this afternoon or this evening, and get that to you before tomorrow.
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate
And
that.
then if you need any help with that, let's make sure we connect and get that going for you.
Okay. I need to get it out this week. So,
Okay. Awesome.
Forward to that. Thank you.
All right. And I head out for Vegas. I'm going to the affiliate summit that's next week. So it starts Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So I'll be in Vegas next week doing that. So if any of you are out there and want to meet up, you know where I'll be. All right. Anything else? Anybody else got anything to add, or problems you've hit?
John, I've got a quick question. I
Okay.
don't know if this is on topic, off topic, whatever. I bought myself a new computer and I'm trying to roll over all of our little programs like Funnel Spy.
Okay.
And I'm having issues trying to get into it. And I've got the login from the original time that you gave it to us, but it's not recognizing the page. So
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
kind of going,
It's not recognized. Which page is it not recognizing?
Funnels. Here, this might be it. I had funnelspy.com/members, and then I had one with /members with John@internetdominators.com. Now it wasn't recognizing either one.
Okay,
I
so
just,
did the program actually install for you?
no, I have not even been able to pull the program up. When I go to funnelspy.com, it just says that they're not running it right now to sign up for their mailing list to know when it's open.
Okay. So I know a lot of times with programs like that, when you buy licenses, like when I bought that, I think I bought 20 licenses. A lot of times when you activate the license, it's a one-time use, so you can't activate it on multiple computers.
Mm-hmm.
So generally what has to happen in a lot of cases is you've got to go back to them and have them deactivate the license and either reissue you a new license or just deactivate it and let it be reactivated, the same one, so they know it's
Okay.
not getting used on multiple computers, because that's generally why they do licenses, so you don't use it more than once.
Right. Okay.
So some programs will actually have a way to deactivate it, like I just moved my WSFTP onto my new Lenovo. And when I was trying to do that, I tried to install it and I used the license key and it said, you've already used this license key. So what I had to do is I had to go back to the original computer that I had it installed on. I had to open the program and then go into the license and say, deactivate this license. And then once I did that, I reinstalled and it worked no problem.
Huh. Okay.
So some programs have that deactivation on the license, and you do that so you can move to another computer.
Okay.
So you might check that and see if that'll work.
Okay, I can check it on my old computer and see if I can get into the license area. That might work.
Okay, yeah. If you can do that, then that's the short, simple answer. The longer one to that is you've got to go back and have them do it at the software level.
Right.
And
That's why I hate switching computers.
and for that particular one, I don't know if I've got any extra licenses, but if I do, I can give you another one.
Okay, well, let me see what I can do first, and then
Okay.
come back and holler if I need it. But I was just gonna go back and relook at my analysis and some of my clients as I'm trying to come up with that big idea. I've been thinking about it and haven't had any major aha moments. So I was going through what I'd written down, but a lot of the ones I went to did not have a lot of advertising. They were just websites.
Yeah, I've noticed that too in competitive analysis. Most of the competitors are not doing this stuff right.
No, so they're not helping me. I can't steal anything.
Yeah, it's really cool when you get, in an industry where they're doing it right and you could learn from it. But, a lot of them, like a lot of the clients that I've done this stuff for, they're working in industries that they're not marketing industries, and they're not paying to have the marketing done for them.
Yeah, well, you would think that in marketing they would be marketing themselves, but I mean, I guess we've been at it for 7-8 years and we haven't marketed ourselves, so I guess other people are finding that same thing.
Yeah, that's the biggest problem that keeps businesses small is the marketing. You know,
Mm-hmm.
they might,
Isn't that your big idea then?
yeah, they might be. That actually could be a really good big idea for you, Gwen. Is
Hmm.
that's the thing that's holding you back? Is most businesses don't grow because of that. They're really good at what they do, and the people that they do it for love them and they keep coming back for more, but they never get outside that box.
Isn't that what you did, John? And you decided, why am I doing this for all these other people and not myself?
It pretty much. And I keep getting sucked back into doing it for everybody else.
Okay, that's an idea.
Yeah.
Let's see how I can make it a big idea.
Yeah, that I could see that getting, pushed into a big idea. You know, the the big thing that keeps businesses from growing is they're not doing the proper marketing. They're following each other, they're doing what they think they ought to be doing, but it's not right.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm writing that down real quick.
I think that's really common amongst small business, especially home-based business.
Yeah, it's very common with home base.
Yeah, because show me a big business that doesn't advertise. You're pretty hard pressed to come across one that hasn't spent a boatload on advertising to get where they are.
Right. Well, I know Rustin always comments about Ford when auto sales is down.
Mm-hmm.
They're marketing a lot, but even when auto sales are up, they're marketing even more because they want to keep that funnel full, that residual
Yeah.
going.
Yeah. Well, I think it's the other way around. In the good times, they're marketing hard, and the down times, they're marketing even harder.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's just interesting to see that they're constantly marketing.
Yeah. Well, they know that business, will go stagnant if they don't market.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and Gwen, in specialty schools like trade tech or massage or estheticians, they're not taught marketing. They're taught their skill and that's it. And so
Right.
there's a huge, huge market where these people go out and they think, okay, now I'm going to start my business, but they weren't taught those concepts on marketing.
Right. Right.
Yeah, it's back to the thing that they're really good at what they do, but they never get outside of the people that they're already doing it for, or very slowly. Word of mouth is great and it works for a lot of businesses. I know a lot of my business growth has been from word of mouth, but my biggest growth was from outside of that. My biggest growth was in either advertising by speaking to large groups of people or being promoted by people that had done advertising to build big lists that promoted me. Those have been my big pushes forward. When my
Mm-hmm.
business literally grew at a rapid rate, it was because of that.
Okay. Well, I will keep reviewing and I'll keep that in mind and see what I can come up with. But I felt like kind of I'm hitting my head against the wall with everything else going on and trying to come up with this too. And I'm like, I feel like I can't move forward till I get that big idea nailed.
Yeah.
But I need something that's kind of that aha, we got it.
Yeah. And that really is true. When you get the big idea, everything else becomes easy. It'll all kind of fall into place. When you don't, and you move past it, and you don't really have the big idea, you're still kind of spinning your wheels.
Mm-hmm.
So
No, I
sometimes,
tried moving past it and got stuck, so I'm back to it.
yeah, exactly. So you see what I'm talking about. So
Yeah.
sometimes you got to take a step back. You got to take a step back into analysis and look at desired outcome. What's the market feeling? Those particular pieces of analysis that focus in on your ideal client and their wants and their needs and how they feel about it. That's generally where the big idea is going to come from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been looking and reviewing and realizing I didn't have a lot to write down because not a lot of people that I was looking at were actually marketing. They've just had their websites.
Yeah, and I'll give you a really good example of how a big idea can change everything. And it's with Tim Ferriss. You know, I'm sure you're familiar with him, the 4-Hour Workweek guy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he failed miserably out of the gate because he didn't have the big idea nailed down. He had the book was done, but the cover was wrong, the title was wrong, and it flopped. It failed horribly because, I mean, his thing, what he does is he teaches people how to outsource, and that's what the book is about. But when he was talking about outsourcing, and that was the title of the book, he realized real quick nobody wanted that. You know, it's like with me, nobody wants SEO. You know,
Right.
nobody buys SEO. They buy what it does. They want the outcome of it. And outsourcing is the same thing. Nobody wants outsourcing. It's not like on your shopping list. You know, you don't wake up and you go, yeah, I need some outsourcers. You know, that's just not part of your, you know, it's not the conversation that's going on in your head. What you want is you want the thing that the outsourcers can get you. You know, like with my customers, they want traffic and they want sales, and SEO is the thing that can get them that. But they don't want SEO. They want the thing.
Mm-hmm.
So
that might go back to the big thing for separating big businesses from small businesses.
yeah. So with Tim Ferriss, what he did, he I don't know if he did this deliberately or if it was an accident, but I'm going to assume he did it deliberately. I'm going to hope he did, and let's let's use that scenario. He went back to his analysis and looked at his market and asked himself, what do these people really want? And what they really wanted was they wanted to work less, like almost none, and still make money. So that's where the 4-hour work week, that was what they wanted. That's their desired outcome. I want to work 4 hours a week and you know, have all the money I want. So when he renamed the book that, based on the big idea of the 4-hour work week, he has sold millions of those books. So, but again, it was not the thing. You know, the thing for him was outsourcing, but that wasn't a big idea. The big idea is what people really wanted was they didn't want to work, but they still wanted to make money. So is the idea of a 4-hour work week appealing? Absolutely.
Very much so.
So that's where you got to get to. You got to figure out, what do they really want? How do you make that appealing? And then you can deliver your goods inside that big idea. That's what it's all about.
Okay. Well, I've got a couple of things to play with then, and I keep going back and reviewing, and I may pull the big thing, separating small business to big business. It's marketing. I like that idea.
Yeah.
So I'll play with it and see what I come up with, and maybe next week I'll finally have something.
So isn't what Gwen's doing kind of what Tim did? Like, they really don't want marketing. They really want more clients. So they're not really looking for more marketing. They just want to be able to have more clients in their door, because I don't know any business owner that really wants to do the marketing. Like,
No.
I don't want to do the marketing, but I want more clients. So
and the reality is they don't really want more clients, because that's more work and more headache and more things to deal with.
They want the money.
It's beyond that. They want the freedom.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the core desire of any business person, any entrepreneur, what they're ultimately looking for is one of two things, and probably both, is freedom and significance. They want significance as basically they want to be the one that's looked up at. They want to be like a savior to their family, their friends. They want to be the guy that is looked up to. Wow, I really want to be like you. That's the significance factor. And they all have that. And especially in the male version of the entrepreneur especially is significance. You know, and it's kind of like a thing that is inbred in back since the early 1900s. You know, women, the males just had this thing like they were supposed to be the providers. You know, and I know that role has changed radically over the years, but I think it's still ingrained in the men that they should be the provider and they want to be the provider. You know,
well, that's part of what I touched on my avatar.
Yeah. I know a lot of the men have gotten off track and they're anything but the dominant these days, but I think at a very deep human level, that's what they desire.
Yeah, I actually have touched on that in my avatar where they're kind of the buck stops here, and they want to be the provider, not just for their family, but for their employees and their families. They want to be that kind of that.
Yeah, and the thing that they're scared to death of is failure.
Right.
What if I fail? What if my wife winds up making more than me? What if she gets control because of that? And then what am I? Yeah. So that's the conversation. That's what's going on in their head. And things that can prevent that and eliminate that fear is very appealing to them. So if you're going after the male entrepreneur, that's, and that's just not from my experience. That's from my experience of experiencing hundreds of them. You know, that's what they're after. They want the freedom, but it's the fear of losing their significance is the thing that keeps them from it.
Is that the big idea then? The fear of losing significance?
It's not really a big idea. It's a factor that a big idea would come out of. You know, it's like if you compare that to the 4-hour work week, that's the 4-hour work week is really what they wanted.
Is it that, or do they want to be the go-to guy?
Well, really, Tim nailed the shit out of it because, I mean, by saying, you are the 4-hour work week guy, that says it all. You are significant. No one's going to take that away from you if you can maintain that. If you're saying, hey, I got this thing that'll allow you to be the work or live the 4-hour work week. And as an entrepreneur, I realize, hey, that's going to give me all the significance I would ever want. That's going to give me all the freedom I would ever want. What's to say no?
Right.
I want that in every way, shape, and form. There's nothing about that I don't want. That's a big idea. So if you want somebody to copy and steal, there you go. I'm hard pressed to come up with a better one than that. He really did it, and he reaped the benefits of it.
Okay, well, I will mull that over and bounce it off Rustin. And
so if you can encompass the 4-hour work week into a new a new synonym, you might have something awesome.
Yeah, but the problem is most of the time we're sending more traffic, that's more customers, so they get more busy rather than limiting their time.
That's the reality of the situation, but that has nothing to do with marketing.
That's true. That's
when was
true.
the last time you got the burger and it looked like the picture?
Yeah. That is true. Okay.
There's no truth in advertising.
John, I don't think I understand. Is Gwen going to be the outsourcer that they are going to contact? It's going to be we do it for you?
Well, Gwen is basically, she's selling marketing as a service, and she's got SEO services and a lot of the stuff that I do. She's one of my resellers. So her business is almost a mirror image of my business.
But
You know,
what she's offering them is, you don't have to do it. I'm going to do it for you. Is that right?
yeah. In essence, that also is something. They know they need things, but they don't want to do them, nor do they want to learn how to do them. You know, that's another thing. Mary Sue might have hit another really good angle for a big idea is nobody wants to do this stuff. Like, you know, I've taught SEO now for over a decade, and everybody gets into it. When they buy into that program to learn SEO, none of them really want to do it. They love the idea of it and they want to learn about it, or they say they do. But in essence, most of them just get in and realize that enough about it to know that I really know what I'm talking about. And they just want me to do it for them.
Same with that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very much the same with, I think, with almost anything as far as a business service. Let's say the ideal client knows they want something, but they don't want to do anything for it. And again, that's 4-hour work week. It says it right there. It says you're not going to have to do squat. You're going to spend 4 hours a week and you're going to have a great income. You're going to have a great life. So
how many hours a week is somebody going to have to work in order to have Gwen do it for them? Okay, so that's what she has to boil down to. How much, what's the carrot on this thing, right?
Yeah. It's like how much, because that is the thing, you know, when you talk about freedom, you got two factors. You got time and money. So, and they want more of both of them. They want more free time. They want more money. And, you know, in ACT, in the very first segment, I talk about the Pareto principle. And the Pareto principle is the idea of cutting out, eliminating things that are not profitable. You know, and when you look at your business model, a lot of times, you know, you've got either the 80-20, the 70-30, or the 90-10 rule, you know, going on. Of 10% of the people are bringing you 90% of your income. So that begs to say, what are the other 90% of those people? What are you doing with them to bring you only 10% of your income? Why are you even wasting your time there?
And that could be a service that Gwen and Rustin provide them, you know, some kind of a, I don't know.
Well, we have done some business coaching type when they get in and they start asking us more, I guess you would call it almost management type questions.
But then that would be where you could come in and say, like, marketing minutes. How many minutes do you want to be spending on your marketing? And let's look at the people who are chunking your time. Do you want to spend 60 minutes, you know, a day, 90 minutes a day? Well, we can help take you from, I'm going to make a number, 500 minutes down to 50. And then you interviewing them, well, these customers are really chunking, like John said.
Maybe, you know, we were talking about using other people's marketing. Maybe it is as simple as going to the 4-hour work week and saying, you know, you guys have all heard of the 4-hour work week. How would you like me to do it for you?
And we all know that when you buy something, I mean, you just said it, they don't want to do it. They want so it's easier to slide somebody over to the we will do it for you when they get in. I mean, the first thing to do is sign them up and then just offer to do it for them if it's overwhelming. And maybe some of them are just already in overwhelm and it's like, good grief, just give me the answer.
Yeah. Yeah, just so kind of noodle that around, but that might already be your answer, is just copy the 4-hour work week. And most entrepreneurs have heard of that. They've certainly heard of the concept. They may have heard of the book. Most of them probably own it. Probably 10% have read it. But
here's another thing, John. Brendan Burchard, in one of his books, he kind of reverse engineered what it takes to make $1 million, right?
okay.
And so it's how many of this pieces do you have to do, and it's exceedingly simple, laid out the way he did, but you already know the goal going in,
Mm-hmm.
and you just need to figure out how to get there. And so the question would be, what can they do to help you get to that goal? Set your own goal. Maybe it's 500,000 a year, even 200,000 a year. Where do you want to? What's it going to take? And if Glenn already knew what they have to do to help somebody get to that goal, then they can price it accordingly.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's kind of a combination of the two things, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Always based on the desired outcome, though.
Sure.
Yeah. So if you can encapsulate all that there, Glenn, you'll have it made.
Well, we'll see what we can do and what we can come up with. Thank you all for your input. It's very, very helpful.
Yeah, well, we'll take what you come up with next week, and we'll pick it up from there and see if we can take it to the next range.
Yeah,
awesome.
Good luck,
Thank you.
All right. Anything else here before we wrap up?
What's that guy in the corner doing down there?
Mr. Chris?
Mr. Chris. Is he there?
He's probably eating lunch.
No, I'm there. I just couldn't find the buttons. So many buttons. So I'm just taking it all in, listening to your intelligent questions. Thrilled, inspired by the fact, Cheryl, you're taking action, and inspired, Gwen, that you are you have a partner in crime to do this with. What a lucky person you are. So
that can be a good or a bad thing.
yes, indeed. So
Well, Chris, we're your partners in crime. So
excellent.
how you doing? How's it going?
As long as that crime has dollar signs behind it, I'm in.
Right. How are you doing with everything?
What's that?
How are you doing with everything?
I'm good. I'm in a good place to begin the year, and ready and raring to go. I was saying to John, I think over the weekend, that when 2019 comes, and it will come, I'll ask myself 3 questions, like what lasts? Like, what did I get out of the year? And the 3 things are, and there's a lot to different people, but to me right now, it's how well I marketed, how well I built a sales funnel using the ACT program, and how good my health is. Like at the end of the year, those would be, and my point is, all those, the key that ties all those is it's all incremental. It is baby step, bite-sized pieces every day. Not, like that analogy of like an insulin patient has to take an injection every day and can't skip 6 days, and on the 7th day take 7 injections. It's like you feel terrible the 6 days and even worse on the 7th. So my point is health, marketing, and attention paid to creating and populating a click funnel. Again, I don't have to make it right. I just have to make it. And next year, when those 3 things, I think, what would my life be like next year if those 3 things were in place? And I thought, God, what a difference that life would be. So anyway, that's my goal, is to do something every day. in that area. Oh, and the other thing is I can tell you guys my latest. I'm actually have a financial workshop coming up on the 27th of January, and I'm going to tell people about the. I talk a lot of metaphors that sometimes doing your finances, like getting things organized, people are like confused, like, I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to do it. And the thing that comes to mind is, have you guys ever done like 500-piece puzzles? Imagine taking a 500-piece puzzle and dumping it on the table. And you say to yourself, I have no idea where to begin. Nothing. Like, this is impossible. And the funny thing is that there's always systems. Everything has an intelligence. Everything has. So if you watch someone do a puzzle, they'll look at it and say, what a mess. And I'm equating this to like marketing, like, the ACT program. I don't know where to begin. But eventually you start finding patterns, meaning you find 4 corners. Boom, you found 4 pieces. Then you take the pieces and you take ones with the edges and you put those to the side. And then if you got like water, all the ones that are blue, and green, all the ones that are, you know what I mean? It's like all of a sudden you start segmenting the pieces. And then even like you guys done a puzzle, you know how there's like the shapes. I mean, there's limited shapes to what a piece can be. And you ever see it's like a spade, like one of the corners is kind of like a spade shape. So my brother would take all the spade pieces and put them on one side. Anyway, the point is, you do this, and it's not a matter of putting 500 pieces. It's for looking for the patterns. And the point is this: which is the hardest when doing a puzzle? Which are the hardest pieces to put in? The first 10 or the last 10? Like, you know how fast it is to put the last 10 or 20 pieces in a puzzle? So that's where I'm looking at ACT program. It's like, oh my God, the first 10 pieces, this is impossible. But if I just follow what John's saying, follow the program, it's a system. And by the time after a year, putting in those pieces, the last 50 pieces of a 500-piece puzzle, it'll all make sense where they all go. So I got to just stick it out, not give up on the first 10 or 20, and stick around for the joy of putting that last piece into place. And that's when the money comes. So anyway, that's where I'm up. That's where I'm at.
You know what that's called strategically?
What?
Divide and conquer.
Divide and conquer.
Goes back to the Romans.
Yeah. And
like I said, there's nothing new.
Yeah. They did pretty well, those crazy Romans.
Yeah. You just got to follow what works.
Yeah. And look for the patterns. Look for the patterns. And so anyway, that's my thinking. I gotta stick around and for the last 100 pieces and just get through the first 100. So
awesome. Well, that sounds like we're off to a good start here in 2018. I'm kind of dedicating this year myself to almost the same thing. Healthy, wealthy, and wise.
Yeah. Good. God bless us, everyone.
All right. Well, we will wrap up for today, and looking forward to hopping back on here next week and moving this conversation forward.
Have fun in Vegas.
All right. You guys have a great week, and we will be back same time.
Thanks, John.